know nothing about what's going on. You know, that's why they can develop all kinds of shit without like the normal restrictions. Their government and their businesses are like that. They're inexorably connected. The businesses don't get to make decisions that are bad for the government. If they do, they disappear dudes.
Okay, here, let's go conspiracy theory.
Let's go.
How different? How different? Okay, I see you, Miles.
A conspiracy more than a high guy.
Okay, here's the conspiracy. Are Joe Coy and Chelsea Handler really in a relationship?
No, you did not do that.
Shield this man.
Don't do this.
Why would you put that on Joe, bro?
I said, don't you. It was Alex Jones was hitting me nonstop. He said, "There's something awry here."
Seems like a false flank.
I want to remind you.
Middle-age crisis actors.
I want to remind you. You did not just say what I think you said. What the fuck did you say?
Midlife crisis actors.
No,
you corrected it because you said middle-age crisis actors, and then you realized midlife crisis actors. Actually, it's teamwork. It's teamwork,
It's
cleaner. It's a cleaner bit. You nailed it.
Okay, but we love Joe on this podcast.
No, Chelsea. I love Chelsea. I wrote a thing about one of her books. I wrote a little blurb.
Oh, really?
Back in the day, yeah.
She was
I knew her
phenomenal.
from the Comedy Store. She was always cool.
No, back her show, she was great. She was great. Her interviewing was great. It was different. What happened?
Tone of this room just changed to bullshit.
No, I'll be honest with you.
Call that shit out.
No, I think she was fucking great.
I'm not saying she's not. I'm not saying she's not, but I'm just saying like there was like a general tone of like, let's say something nice right now.
Yep. That's
He
real
just called out
fact.
the moment, yo.
I love that.
Okay,
Yo, Joe,
fair.
I love that.
Oh, you felt like I needed to justify.
Yeah, you
No, you don't.
No,
You definitely
both
don't.
y'all did
But
that
we're
shit.
just talking
He's
shit.
like, I wrote a blurb for her. Y'all both did that shit. Yeah.
100%.
Because we felt bad. We felt like we were
Yeah.
trashing.
We're not trashing anybody.
Yeah.
That's the thing. It's like I don't like trashing fellow comedians. I
No.
really don't. I genuinely don't.
No.
Did that change after Mencia? You felt a little bad?
Yes, 100%.
I
Really?
thought so.
You
Yeah.
felt bad about
During
it?
the moment of it, I realized how much negativity it creates. I was almost looking at like if it was a system, right? If you're looking at a system, you're looking at like you input X and you get back this. And I'm like, okay, a good thing was done where people weren't in danger of having their intellectual property taken by someone who's far more successful. But the weird thing was the anger. Like watching the anger, like, bah! It's like you're throwing meat to a group of fucking piranhas. Like there's just this buzzing of people joining on one side or the other side. And I realized like a lot of this is not logical. And it's one of the problems with the way human beings interact with each other that we just choose teams. And it's like a normal, natural inclination that we can't escape no matter how logical you are. Like even if you're like a super logical person, you're still, there's some part of you that has an inclination towards teams.
So how do you push
also-
yourself away from it?
Just gotta recognize what it is, like know when it pops up, and just go. This is a dumb road.
But is that tough for you? Like when you get shit on by one side specifically, and then the other side is like, "Yo, you're pretty cool." How hard is it for you to just stay even?
It's okay. Like I would shit on me, for sure.
Wait, really?
If I didn't know me, yeah.
For what exactly?
Some other comic, I would make fun of me totally.
What would you say?
Oh, I'd say terrible things about steroid use and insecurities of being short. I have a lot of great jokes about me.
Really?
It'd be a lot of fun.
So you don't even when people make fun of you, do you care?
Well, you can care, but it's not going to change the way they think. Like it's not good if you hear it. Like if someone said it to my face, I'd be like, "That's mean."
Yeah.
Like, why are you being mean to me, man? I don't even know you.
Yeah.
People will say mean things to you just to try to get a reaction out of you. But those people are usually way more dangerous than the average person that says something online. The average person says something online. It's like you're not even connected. Like maybe you are. It's like you're trapped in a cave and there's like a tunnel that goes up to the air and you're like, fuck fuck you.
Yeah.
You're not connected to that person. You're not in front of them. If someone is mean to you in front of you, that's a real problem.
Yeah.
And weirdness is when it spills over, when people get used to communicating with people the way they do on the internet, and they try to do it in real life. And you see it all the time in World Star videos. They just get fucked up because they think they can talk shit.
Right.
Yeah.
Like they talk shit on the internet. They think they can just get away with it.
Yeah.
Like they don't have the same amount. If you're 24 and you lived in 1976, or if you're 24 and you live now, you got a totally different type of interaction with people.
Yeah.
These fucking people are interacting with people in a text form 60% of the time.
Yeah.
So if that's a part of your development, and everybody agrees, I agree that people who grow up in sort of like touch and go environments, they're a little slicker.
Yeah.
Right? We call it street smarts.
Yeah.
People know, like, if you don't have any of that,
Forget it. It's over.
you're fucked.
Yeah.
And if all you're doing is texting, you're not experiencing life. You're trapped in your house.
You're trapped in
sitting
disconnect.
You're sitting on the couch getting a fucking neck cramp because you're fucking texting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the people of today.
Yeah.
That's what's weird about it.
Yeah.
You're not designed for that.
Right.
So the human brain has to find a way to catch up.
All right, guys, we're going to take a break for a second because it's the motherfucking NBA Finals, okay? You know you're putting money down, and why would you not want to win more money? You're not going to win more money than at MyBookie. I mean, it's very simple. I'll tell you why. You deposit $200, they're going to give you $300 to gamble with. That's crazy. You get to gamble with more money than you actually put down. That's how you win the most goddamn money. And when you got these NBA Finals, okay, it's time to put your money where your mouth is. We see you tweeting all over the place, right? We see you talking that shit on Instagram. Put it up. If you know who's going to win that bet, put it up and put it up in MyBookie. Matter of fact, use that promo code FLAGRANT. You're going to deposit $200, you're going to get $300. Think about that. They will secure that first deposit bonus up to $1,000. All you got to do is use the promo code FLAGRANT to claim your bonus. Mobile or on the go, NBA, UFC, baseball, no matter the league, no matter the minute, MyBookie puts the action in your hands so you can turn any game day into a payday. Bet anything, anytime, anywhere with MyBookie. Now let's get back to the show.
So let me tie this back to what we talked about. Seeing all the hate, et cetera, what happened to Mencia. What would you do differently about Cole?
Nothing. Wouldn't
That's
do
what
a
I.
thing
That's what I was
different.
thinking.
I wouldn't do a thing different. I took the hit, but it's like the hit wasn't bad because I was right, and eventually I knew they would realize I was right, and I would wish that he would realize I was right.
And well, the hate I also
Well,
felt.
people don't realize you took a hit. I think a lot of people's history of you is
Yes,
you
but
called out
no.
Mencia and then you had the biggest podcast on the planet.
That's true also.
Yeah,
They don't know what you went through afterwards.
It wasn't bad.
What
it
was
was
it?
not bad.
Well, I
Bad things
actually don't know.
happen.
For comic standards, I think it is.
Well,
What happened?
I got banned from the Comedy Store. That was a real problem.
Yeah.
Because it wasn't Mitzi Shore's idea. The real problem was I was on the phone with Mitzi like more than an hour before they called me to tell me I was banned. So I was on the phone with Mitzi, and I told her, out of respect, what had happened. I said, Mitzi, I go, we are fucking tired of this guy stealing jokes. She's like, Carlos, are you sure he's stealing? I go, Mitzi, we have videos of it. He's a fucking thief. And so we had this conversation on the phone, and she goes, well, just keep away from him. So I told her that we're going to release this video. She goes, well, just keep away from him. I go, I'll do whatever you want me to do. And she goes, okay, you want to go up tonight? And I said, sure. What time do you want to put me up? She goes, 10:30. I go, thank you very much. I love you. That's the last time I talked to her.
Wow.
That's sad.
And then I got a call an hour later, and I realized, like, she was in a state where Mitzi Shore is, like, legitimately, if you looked at all of the people that are important in the development of comedy, she's the number one most important person that wasn't a comic.
Why?
Number one.
Wait, why? Why do you think
Because
Mitzi
she
Shore to people
she
who don't
let
know.
the Comedy Store.
Mitzi Shore owned the Comedy Store.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah,
I'm
for
sorry.
people-
I'm sorry. Mitzi Shore is Pauly Shore's mom. She's like, she started the Comedy Store with her husband. They got divorced. She got the Comedy Store, and she ran the Comedy Store in a way where, like, she was a strong lady. And she had fucking strong ideas about what was good and what was bad. And she would tell you right to your face. She would tell you, I fucking hate that bit.
Did she
I'd be
ever
like,
say
"Oh,
that to you?"
Shit, yes.
What'd she say?
I had this bit about Anna Nicole Smith and her husband. She fucking hated that bit because J. Howard Marshall, that dude who was like 150 years old.
Yeah, Biden.
I had this bit.
Genius.
He was older than Biden. He was Biden's dad. but she was responsible for the environment of the Comedy Store, where she just let the comedians express themselves the best way that they could and give them a home and set these standards. Like
And
no
for those who
bullshit
don't know,
standards.
the Comedy Store, Pryor, Kinnison,
Bill Hicks.
so many legends.
David Letterman.
worked out there.
Yeah, Eddie Griffin, Damon Wayans was there a lot. Martin Lawrence was there a lot. It was like Dice Clay. Like so many people came out of that place, and it was chaos. And it didn't always work out perfectly, but she designed it in a way where she could create a place where these really fucked up people could come and perform. And she would call it her island of misfit toys. She knew what she was doing, man. And she's a completely unusual person.
Why?
Very few people just dedicate themselves to a thing like that and like have this idea of like what's the right way to do it, and they're right. She was right. She was right so often.
Yeah.
Like someone would call and complain about Kennison. She would, I don't
Go
give
fuck
a
yourself.
fuck.
Yeah.
She didn't give a fuck. She didn't give a fuck.
So then how
the
is
place
she-
is packed every night. She did not give a fuck.
But how is she okay with Mencia then? Because this is why
She didn't know, and I also think she was having some legitimate health problems by then, unfortunately.
Yeah. Okay.
When I first met her, she was already in '94. She was already struggling a little, and then as time went on, it got worse. And I don't think if people don't come to her and complain, I don't think she necessarily knows, unless she's watching every single set, who came up with this bit first.
Right.
She doesn't know.
Yeah.
Right? So if you just come down for one 20-minute set and you see someone kill and you go, oh my God, he's hilarious. If you had come 20 minutes before, you might have saw Paul Mooney do his version of it. Right?
Yeah.
And if that was the case, maybe then she would be able to go, hey, what the fuck? But like I said, even in the 90s, she was already struggling. She had I think it was a neurological disorder. And, it was hard for her. So I don't blame her, but she had ideas that didn't necessarily work, but you fucking never know what's going to work. How many people did we started out with that were like open micers that you
I
knew
think
were
about
funny?
that. I think about that.
You knew they were
Yeah.
funny. And they just they fell apart on re-entry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think about that. Like the
Yeah.
first friend I knew that there was a comic that stopped. And they were funny too. But they just didn't want to go through it.
Dude, there's a girl
it's a
that I
grind.
dated when I was 21. There's a girl I dated when we were both open micers together. She was funnier than me. Like, she was so funny. She was hilarious. She was fucking hilarious. And I remember thinking, if I don't make it as a comedian, at least I fucked her. This lady's the next Roseanne. Like, she's so good. Wow. She was a killer.
And then what happened?
I don't know.
Stopped
man.
it.
I don't know. I lost track.
I mean, especially-
I lost touch with her.
Damn, I
Back
We
then-
stayed friends, but
I want to know her name.
yeah, I moved to New York, and I don't want to say it. And when I moved to New York, I don't know.
It just stopped.
Yeah.
I mean, back then you had so few opportunities, and if you didn't get one, I imagine it would just wear you down because you're just toiling at that point.
Yeah.
Like this internet shit is so different.
It's so different. Well,
Yeah.
I've been through both things,
yeah.
and what it really makes me understand, like more than anything, is like how important it is to like share success and like get everybody out of that horrible period in the beginning where you don't know if you're going to make it, because the more people that you can get that are convinced that they could be professionals, the more you're going to get those dudes that we remember from the open mic days that didn't make it. I think about that girl all the time. I think about her. She was fucking funny, man. She was funny. She had a witty way of looking at things.
Yeah.
And I'm like, she was 21. We were both 21. I'm like, what would have happened to her when she was 29? What about when she's 33? She might be a murderer right now. She might be straight up slaying on Netflix.
Yeah.
Selling out arenas, just walking out there.
Yeah.
People,
Yeah.
she was that good. But for whatever reason, there's no, back then it was dog eat dog, and everybody
Yeah.
thought they were going to be the host of the Tonight Show.
Well, there was 2 shows.
Yeah.
And then maybe you get a half hour.
And then there was the
Yeah.
sitcom game.
Yeah.
The sitcom game when Tim Allen got his show and Roseanne got her show and Seinfeld and
Yeah.
Brett Butler. Then the whole game became get a deal to do a sitcom.
Yeah.
And craft an act
About the
that
sitcom.
seems like a
Yeah.
pilot.
Yeah.
Like
That's crazy.
you would do an act that was like a pilot for a sitcom, and we all got intoxicated by the sitcom world.
Yeah, I don't know if he did it on. I mean, I loved his show, but Ray Romano's. It seemed like looking back, it's like, oh, his whole comedy was.
Ray Romano was
And I
my
love his show.
character on News Radio, and he got fired.
No.
Wait, really?
Yes. Ray Romano was the original handyman on News Radio, and he got fired.
Why?
And Ray was a good friend of mine. I love, until this day, he's a good friend of mine. I love him.
great.
He's brilliant. And I opened for Ray at a bowling alley.
Yeah.
I think it's Jimmy's Comedy Alley. I think that's what it was called, in Queens.
Yeah.
Like way back in the day. And I remember sitting in the audience with my friend watching Ray Romano just straight murder, going, God damn, he's good.
Yeah.
He's so good.
Yeah.
And then a year later, we are in this situation where I have a development deal with NBC to do my own show, but then there's this other show that they've already shot a pilot for, but they're gonna fire this dude, and they want me to go and read for it.
He just didn't test
I
well.
had no idea. I had no idea what
And he
happened.
never found out
But
either?
here's the good thing: they fired him and then hired another guy to do the pilot. So I was once removed. So I felt like I'm okay.
Yeah.
It's already gone. I'm stealing it from this other dude who stole it from you, Ray.
He did okay, by the way.
Yeah. Oh my God. Well, then, like Kevin James and I were good friends, and he was good friends with Ray too. So we would all eat together, and like this was right when Ray was creating Everybody Loves Raymond.
Yeah.
And he was like sitting there with like scripts and shit and talking to us. That motherfucker was obsessed.
Good.
Like that show became amazing because that dude was dedicated.
Wow.
We're at Jerry's Famous Deli eating Reubens.
Yeah.
And Ray's just going over the script. We're running jokes and shit. I'm like, damn, this dude is fired up.
Bro, that's so amazing.
Yeah.
The best stand-up comedic actor I've ever seen. Like
Ray
as a
Romano?
comedic actor and stand-up primarily, he was a fucking great comedic actor.
And you know,
don't see
just
that
as
often.
important, really good dude.
Yeah.
What you expect is what you get.
Yeah.
Real solid, real cool dude.
I was at I was at the Cellar once, and he's just like the calmest, chillest guy, right? Like not high energy, nothing crazy. And we're sitting at the back table, and we're talking about something. And I was like, yeah, I'm from New York, but I went to school out in California. And I go, yeah, I went to UC Santa Barbara. And he goes, oh, yeah. Wild school. And I was like, yeah, there was a lot of parties. He goes, oh, no. My son went there during the school shooting. And his son was at the school. Do you remember when there was like a school shooting at UCSB?
No.
His son was at the school during that.
There's so many school shootings now.
Yeah.
That
I don't even remember that.
I can't remember. I
Isn't
feel
that wild?
so embarrassed.
Why is that specific here? Have you thought about
No
that?
alpha brain here, huh?
In America, you mean?
Yeah.
Well, I think the problem is that it is a great way to get a lot of attention and to do the most horrific thing to a society that you feel like has abandoned you. If you hate the world, one of the worst things you could do is kill kids.
Yeah.
So that's the scariest thing for all of us.
Yeah.
When you have children, you'll have this feeling. It's like the world becomes a completely different place. And which is one of the things, like I was thinking, one of the things that happened to me when I became a parent, and also just as I became older and I watched children grow and become older and wiser and figure things out, I realized we're all just babies that grew up. And I used to meet a person, I think, oh, this guy's an idiot. But now I look at someone, I literally, like, I look at you and I think of you as a baby. And I think of you going through your life and getting to who you are now. And it just instantaneously develops more empathy for people. Instantaneously.
Yeah.
It's like it's a paradigm shift, like the most profound psychedelic experience you could ever have.
Yeah.
And it makes you realize that this whole thing that we do with like teams or othering people or this, not you, all that stuff is just fear. It's a giant percentage of what we're doing when we're interacting with people poorly is just fear.
Yeah.
We're fearful that they're going to be cruel to us, so we want to be cruel first.
Yeah.
And there's like chest pumping. Most people just want to be loved.
I
Most
remember
people.
talking to my cousin who's a psychiatrist, and then I just started therapy, like whatever. And I was like, oh, are we basically all just, our personality is just adding up all our defense mechanisms? And he was like, yeah, that's basically, you're just a bunch of defense mechanisms into a human being.
Yeah, there's a lot of that because you're accustomed to, in terms of your DNA is accustomed to fighting off predators, fucking bears. and big cats. That's our past. All human beings. We didn't get here instantaneously.
Yeah.
We got here through a long, bloody, horrific process where a lot of babies got eaten by wolves. That's why the Little Red Riding Hood, all that shit was about wolves. That's why it was about wolves, because wolves used to eat people. Do you know they stopped World War I because of wolves?
No.
Do you know there's a ceasefire?
They can all link up.
There was a
what?
ceasefire between the Russians and the Germans because so many of them were getting killed by wolves.
That's nuts.
They decided to get together and kill the wolves and then go back to killing each other.
No.
Yes.
I saw that picture of them playing soccer on Christmas.
The Christmas
did that
truce.
too.
yeah.
Yeah.
How?
Because they were trapped. They were trapped in a crazy world. And the world's still crazy. It's just crazy with more information.
Is it possible to indoctrinate people with like love for country more now, you think? Like
Neuralink.
that's the
only way.
Well, that's the scary thing,
That's
right?
the only way.
No, that's the scary thing about the Neuralink, right? If you can control something that's going on in someone's brain,
Yeah.
I don't need the news. I don't need influencers on Joe Rogan's podcast.
If you can control it. But if it's something that can't be controlled,
Well, how do they prove that?
I don't know.
Would you let them do it to you?
Well, they're controlling things already. If you look at the world like a system, and you looked at the amount of resources and money that's pumped into controlling specific narratives, they're already controlling things.
But they're doing it because we choose to opt into our phone.
yeah, but you're not. It's not negotiable.
Like what?
You're not going to stop using your phone.
No, I'm going to keep using my phone, but at least I can be like, oh, you're showing this because if I see an ad for fucking toaster ovens, maybe we spoke about toaster ovens yesterday and now I see the ad. But if you don't even have to convince me, at least there's one layer. But if you're already in here and you make me think I want to vote that way, you don't think that that's a little bit...
But how are you doing that? How are you making someone think that they're going to vote a certain?
If you can make my dad have memory again, if you can make, and anybody do anything, you can make them think anything you want.
I think there's a real problem with narratives, right? There's a real problem with pushing narratives and not letting people really decide what's going on objectively. But I don't know if any one person is ever going to have control of that. I think there's like this wave thing that happens back and forth. It's like Twitter comes and everything goes left. And who knows if people abandon that and go right.
Yeah.
Who knows? It's just like this weird, wild sort of wrestling match of human beings trying to figure out what the fuck to do.
Yeah,
with life.
society is just a bunch of overcorrections each way, it seems like.
There's a lot of that, yeah. There's a lot of that, yeah. And a lot of that is done, unfortunately, because of a lack of honesty. If more people were honest and we put like a lot of value in honesty and a lot of honor in it, that I think you could have like better conversations. Of course. And then we would find out why people are behaving the way they're behaving. But right now there's like a lot of like, I want my team to win, so I'll bullshit about stuff.
Yes.
The problem with that is like my friend Johnny, who used to compliment people that he didn't even like. Like you got to be able to do that.
Yeah.
You got to be like, that guy's a fucking dick. But you know what he does?
Yeah.
This is what he does. Like he's an asshole, but his father is. They make the best fucking pizza. I hate the dude, but I would go to his place. He would tell you shit like that. But it was fun.
That's what I love about stand-up.
Yeah.
Is that like even the guys that were assholes couldn't be denied as funny.
Oh no, yeah,
Like,
no denial.
There was a guy. Do you ever know Todd Lynn? I think he's passed.
He's passed.
He is passed, right? Yeah. So Todd Lynn was a fucking hilarious. I didn't know for certain, but I know he had a baby arm. He had a baby arm.
Been dead, yo.
But
you probably performed at one of his fundraisers.
Have I?
I performed at his fundraiser.
Shouts to Todd Lynn and his family.
I performed at his fundraiser. Mark Theobald is hosting. Mark's so funny.
Shouts to Mark.
And this is one of his good friends. And Mark is passing around the bucket. This is how big of a dick Todd Lynn was. Mark is passing around the bucket for people to donate money. He's like, if you knew Todd, he wasn't necessarily the nicest guy. As he's asking for money.
But this motherfucker was so goddamn funny.
Really?
Bro.
Oh, he's a monster, dude.
Bro.
Shit on